Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the live session. And if you're watching the recording, thank you for making time to watch this as well. Today, we're going to explore the critical considerations around implementing AI in education settings with a particular focus on safety, security, and privacy requirements. So this is especially relevant as all of these AI tools become more prevalent in our classrooms. Before we get into it, though, we're going to start with a territorial acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally cared for by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Chinootan peoples. I also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today. And if you'll join me with the sign of our faith, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Creator God, grant us wisdom as we explore new technologies, strengthen us to use them ethically, and guidance to ensure that they serve our community while protecting the dignity of all your children. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Okay, so I'm Katrina Gowett, and I'm joined with Whitney McKinley. We are both student achievement consultants for Learning Innovations. We'll bring you through this webinar and the series. Today, our focus is going to be on understanding the legal and ethical frameworks governing our GenAI use in education. We're going to recognize what constitutes personal information. We're going to know how to evaluate AI tools through privacy and security lens, and be able to implement safe practices when using approved GenAI tools. Okay, so let's look at our current landscape. So our artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming our schools and classrooms, bringing both extraordinary opportunities and significant challenges that we must carefully navigate. Every day, our students and teachers are discovering new ways to enhance learning through AI tools, from personalized tutoring to creative writing assistance. But with these capabilities comes a deep responsibility to protect our students and maintain the integrity of education. So we can think of AI in schools, maybe like a new powerful textbook that can write, speak, and adapt to each student. And while that might sound remarkable, we really have to make sure that we're protecting student information, that it can't be tampered with by outside forces, and maintains those clear boundaries. Now, the heart of our challenge lies in three critical areas. First, we have to protect student privacy, ensuring that when students or teachers interact with AI, their personal information and academic work remain secure and private. Secondly, we have to implement robust security measures to prevent any misuse or manipulation of those AI systems. And third, creating clear, fair guidelines about how AI can be used, ensuring that it enhances rather than undermines our genuine learning. Okay, so let's take a look at the legal frameworks. This is really important, a little bit dry, but really important in understanding privacy and security of the apps that we approve here at Waterloo Catholic. Now, these they govern our apps, including AI technology, and it's really crucial to protect our students and maintain our professional integrity. So the first one we're going to look at is PIPEDA, the Personal Information Protection and Electronics Document Act. So this federal legislation is particularly important because it governs how private sector organizations, including the technology companies we work with, handle personal information. So when we use something like Microsoft Copilot or any other digital platform, PIPEDA requires these companies to obtain meaningful consent for collecting personal information, limit their collection to what's necessary, and protect that information with appropriate security measures. So that's why we really have to carefully review the privacy policies in terms of service for any digital tool before approval. Now, MFIPA is the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This directly governs how we as a school board handle personal information. So we can think of it as our local privacy guardian. It requires us to collect only the personal information we truly need for ethical purposes. We have to be transparent about how we use it and protect it from unauthorized access or disclosure. That means when we're using AI tools, we need to be extremely careful about what information we input. Even seemingly innocent details like student initials or class numbers could constitute personal information under MFIPA, and they could identify an individual student. Now, the Education Act provides the foundation framework for everything we do as educators. While it prepares or predates AI technology, its principles about protecting student welfare, ensuring equality education, and maintaining professional standards are more relevant than ever. This act requires us to make decisions in the best interest of our students, which means carefully evaluating how AI tools might impact their learning and well-being. And it also emphasizes our duty of care. Now, finally, the Ontario College of Teachers Professional Standards. This guides how we integrate technology into our professional practice. These standards emphasize maintaining professional judgment, protecting student privacy, and using technology ethically and responsibly. When it comes to AI, this means we must remain the primary decision makers in our classrooms, using AI as a tool to enhance our teaching rather than replace our professional judgment. Now, there's been a recent development. So Bill 194, this just received royal assent at the end of November in 2024 from the Legislative Assembly of Ontario. Now, this new legislation will significantly impact how school boards handle technology, particularly regarding AI tool approval and usage. The bill creates three main requirements that will affect our daily operations. So the first is we'll need to enhance cybersecurity programs and incident reporting protocols. Second, we need detailed documentation and oversight of AI system usage, and that means our app approval process will likely become more rigorous, especially for AI tools. And thirdly, the bill introduces special protections for digital information about students under 18. So we're trying to explore the implications of this legislation, and we know it's going to require more detailed documentation of how we use apps. So we will keep you posted. You will find in system announcements this week about how you can prepare for Bill 194 as an educator. Okay, personal information. So this includes any data that can identify an individual. It goes beyond obvious identifiers like name and student numbers to include identifiers like IP addresses or combinations of demographic information. In an educational context, we have to be especially vigilant as we're dealing with minors whose data requires additional protection. Okay, so we have some core challenges when we're specifically looking at GenAI tools. So I want to walk you through some of these challenges. Now, the first, we have to recognize that AI companies often retain the data we input into their systems. Even after we're done using it, traces of our information might remain in the systems. And this becomes particularly important when we consider that our inputs could become part of the AI's future training data. So, for example, if we're to put student work or classroom discussions into an AI model, that could potentially be used to train the AI system in ways we never authorized. Now, cross-border data transfer, that's another significant concern, and many AI companies store data in servers located around the world. And when we input information in those systems, it's like sending our data on an international journey. Once it crosses the borders, it becomes subject to different privacy laws and regulations than those protecting us in Ontario. And that's why we need to especially be careful with any information that falls under MFIPA. Data breaches, they can present another layer of risk. Even with strong security measures in place, AI systems, like any digital system, can be vulnerable to breaches. So we need to be wary of that. We also face challenges with unauthorized sharing. AI systems often interconnect with various services and may share that data in ways that weren't immediately apparent. Now, perhaps most importantly, we need to understand that we have limited control over information once it's submitted to an AI system. Unlike those traditional digital tools where we might be able to delete our data, AI systems may retain and use information in ways that are difficult to track or reverse. So this is why we really have to emphasize prevention, being careful about what we input in the first place, rather than trying to control the information after the fact, because we will not be able to pull it back. So those challenges underscore why we've carefully selected Microsoft Copilot as our approved tool, as it provides important privacy protections and clear data governance policies. And understanding these, while dry, it is important to understand that the tools that we have gone through this rigorous process. Okay, so that moves us to the WCSB app approval process. We have a really robust process here at Waterloo Catholic in approving digital tools, and every app has to pass through 4 key areas of review. First, we look at pedagogical value and alignment with our teaching goals. Then we conduct a thorough privacy and security review. Then we send it off to IT to make sure it works with our infrastructure. And finally, we look at purchasing and licensing requirements. So that often requires contract creation or signing. Now, that process helps ensure that all tools we use are safe, effective, and align with our Catholic values. And this brings us to our generative AI approved tool, that is Microsoft Copilot. Now, this is a yellow tool, so it means, yes, you may use it. All staff may use it, and then students grades 6 to 12 may use it. And you can use it, but with certain conditions on it. So the first thing is you must log in with your WCDSB credentials so that there's an extra layer of protection. Second, we need to make sure that we are not inputting personal information. So it goes back to that discussion already that we've had about making sure that we protect our student and our own privacy as well. And then the third thing is we need to really recognize and acknowledge that AI systems are not necessarily accurate. It can hallucinate. It can provide misinformation. We need to make sure it can provide biased or racist material. So we need to make sure we're using our professional judgment and we're reviewing the material that it outputs. Okay, and so this you can see here, when I click on this green shield, once I'm logged in, my personal and company data are protected in the chat. So make sure you can see that. Okay, and of course, before using any AI tool, we want to make sure that, especially when it's in our professional practice and with students, we need to make sure it's on the approved tools list. We're reviewing privacy policies, understanding how the data needs to be handled. Often with many of our apps, there's a retention period where we need to, after a year or two, we have to delete all student information. WeVideo is one of those where we need to make sure that we delete student images and videos. We need to avoid sharing personal information, consider the risks, and follow the usage guidelines that we can find on the My Apps page. Okay, and this brings us to the Q&A. So that was pretty fast, and I'm wondering if there were any questions in the room. Well, if you have a question, feel free to type it out. And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to share some resources that connect to today's topic. So the first is we do, as innovation consultants, this is a piece of our portfolio, and we offer comprehensive support for our educators. We are going into schools, we are doing these webinars, and if you would like further support, then we would like to make sure that you reach out to us or to your administrator and say this is something you would like extra support with. We're also looking we're building a WCSB AI Innovation Network. We really want to hear a diverse cross-section of voices to help impact the future of AI at Waterloo Catholic. So we've already met on January 8th, but we have a March 26th and May 14th dates also coming up. And if you, know students or families that would like to participate, or you would like to participate, we would love to have you there. We also, to provide professional development, as we can't release teachers. So part of our professional development plan is to have a podcast. So Whitney and I host Deep Learning Dialogues, and we interview a whole range of people from Waterloo Catholic, but also from, people who are professors or PhD students, people who are really in the thick of it and can give us guidance on AI in education. So you can find it on your favorite podcast player or on the website. I want to direct your attention to this episode in particular. It was from season 1, and we speak with Stuart Bailey, who's our privacy, security, and safety officer at Waterloo Catholic, and he really goes in depth into that really important piece of protecting our students and ourselves, as well as our school board. And then I did also want to direct your attention to ECNO, the Education Collaborative Network of Ontario. They have great resources there that you can access, but this article in particular was interesting, just adds to the information that we gave you here today. If you have any questions, we are more than happy to answer them and would love you to send us an email. Anything else we should add, Whitney?
I don't think so. Please reach out if you need anything. And thank you for spending some time with us today.
Mhm.
We hope that you have something that you're able to take away.